Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Simon, and today I'd like to take you on a little thought exercise. Now, I know some of you are getting real tired of my more theory crafting videos, and that's okay, there's plenty of other stuff going up on the channel, so by all means, give this video a like and continue watching my more traditional lore videos. Those still interested, however, I have a really fun one today, and that's why I love these types of videos. They're just fun. So again, we'll be talking about Amonkhet, returning to the idea of this trial of the five gods. We know it's designed by Nicol Bolas in order to weed out the worthy from his band of loyal followers, but that's basically it. There's still a lot of mystery here. One of the biggest questions being, who exactly are these five gods who seem to be testing these potential champions? Are they gods like the ones we've seen on Theros, which act like enchantments, and who exist through the belief of their denizens? Or will they be more physically represented on the world of Amonkhet, perhaps just powerful figures who are seen as gods? Sort of like Nicol Bolas himself. I, for one, believe the five who make up this supposed pantheon are in fact just that, powerful characters who are viewed as gods but are far more false than those of Theros. They'll be gods only in name and stature, the people treating them as such simply because their god pharaoh wills it. In fact, Nicol Bolas being referred to as God Pharaoh is exactly why I believe this to be the case. Certainly the Elder Dragon Planeswalker is ancient and powerful, but clearly isn't godly. It wouldn't be hard for the citizens of Amonkhet to make the mistake again to other figures deemed godly by their God Pharaoh. Okay, the gods involved with the trial of the five gods aren't really gods at all. Cool. So then what are they? That's another question altogether. If I had to guess, given the aesthetic of Amonkhet, I'd expect a bunch of big guys and girls with animal heads. But this video isn't really meant to speculate on the appearance of these gods, or their overall purpose. The goal of this video is to determine how they'll be conceptualized and represented in actual cards. Trial of the Five Gods. 5 gods plus or including Nicol Bolas himself. What's this god color pie gonna look like? Well, it could follow Theros' example and have them all be monocolor, matching the 5 major gods of the pantheon, but that's a little boring for Amonkhet. We know the gods of Theros all represented unique aspects of that world, with an assortment of minor gods who were dual-colored. I think Amonkhet will go a step further and have its gods represent 3 colors of mana each, displaying the complexity and symbolism found on this unique plane. Also, Nicol Bolas is traditionally Grixis colors, and if he's one of the gods, i.e. God Pharaoh, then it just makes sense. I expect a return to the Alara standard, and by that I mean 2 ally pairs with an enemy, bringing back some good old-fashioned 3-colored cards. This sets us on a nice track since we haven't really seen them recently, while also being different from the pairings we saw in Takir. Again, I basically think this because of the now iconic colors of Nicol Bolas, but it would also mean that he would represent one of the gods in this trial of the 5 gods. So really, it could go either way, but it's what I'm running with. So we got the colors down, now for some sweet flavor. We gotta have these gods mean something, right? It's a world modeled after ancient Egypt, so that seems like a good place to start. If we assume that Nicol Bolas is included in this trial of the 5 gods, and he'll be Grixis colors, what god from ancient Egypt will he most likely represent? Well, I'm no expert, but I did do some research, and to me, Nicol Bolas best emulates Ra, the god of the sun and radiance, as well as Amun-Ra, the hidden one. Ra because Nicol Bolas is said to return with the rising sun, and this god literally made the sun rise each morning. Ra was also said to have created the world, a similar role Bolas seems to be taking on Amonkhet, if not actually creating it, then at least protecting it and its people. Amun-Ra simply because it acts as the god of gods, the creator of kings and pharaohs, the leader of the pantheon. How else could you describe Nicol Bolas? These gods also represent the aspects of Nicol Bolas' Grixis colors: war, destruction, death, all-knowing, each personified in red, black, and blue. So that was a pretty easy one, seeing how we already knew the character we were trying to characterize. Now let's get into more uncharted territory and go for the 4 unknown gods of Amonkhet. Let's again attempt to explain them through gods we already know about, the gods of ancient Egypt, which this world is modeled after. Let's start with Jund. Now, who or whatever this god is on Amonkhet has to adhere to the staples of red, green, and black. Jund stands out as being wild and free of laws and peace, a desire to do as you please, no matter what, and live by your own terms. Basic instincts replace thought and reason. This chaotic god would most likely be modeled after Sekhmet, goddess of war and healing. This lion-headed goddess is wild in war and judgment, being an arbiter of the gods themselves. While it may not be a perfect one-to-one example of the values found in Jund, I still wouldn't be shocked to see a lion-headed god sporting these colors in Amonkhet. Next we have Naya, a shard of natural beauty and wild hearts. Respect for your surroundings is key for those of these colors, learning well that nature can be both a powerful ally or a devastating enemy. This untamed personality would be best represented by a god like Geb, god of the earth. Geb's known as the ruler of snakes, grower of crops, and healer of the sick. Those aspects align almost perfectly with the colors represented in Naya. Not to mention, it's a god whose wild nature was only tamed as they weighed the hearts of those who had died, ultimately judging them and choosing the fate of their afterlife. Moving on, we have whatever god would be colorized as Esper. And using my limited knowledge from video games and this fancy article I've pulled up, a real Egyptian god who would do a pretty good job at symbolizing those aspects would be Thoth, god of knowledge and wisdom. An arbiter who settled the disputes between good and evil, Thoth is considered as the god self-created, master of both physical and divine laws. Egyptians acknowledge him as an author of science, philosophy, and magic. A self-created master of knowledge and arbiter of justice. Come on, how much more Esper can you get? If we see a god on Amonkhet that's Esper colors, expect it to look a lot like this crane-headed god from real mythology. Now that's an oxymoron. And finally, we move on to the final shard, Bant. Now Bant is supposed to be the shard of justice, honor, and basically all things friendly and nice. At the expense of revealing that I'm not actually an expert on ancient Egyptian gods, I don't think many in this IRL pantheon really fit the Bant bill. So I don't really have a good example here, but if there is a Bant god on Amonkhet, I'm sure it would play the role of the compassionate, honor-bound, generic, white-focused character. But acting in reality, it would just be another test set up by Nicol Bolas for his own devious purpose. It would probably have a crocodile head. No real reason here, just thought it would look cool. Anyway guys, this is just my idea of what the 5 gods and the trial of the 5 gods may look and act like on the plane of Amonkhet. Of course, this is only my personal opinion, and I could be wildly off base. But hey, that's what can start some of the best discussions. Let this theory crafting continue in the comments below. Lend your thoughts to my own, or demolish them with your more sound ideas. If you enjoyed the video and want to support the channel, go ahead and hit that like button, share it with friends, and subscribe for all the latest MTG news and lore. As always guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.